Hi guys, we come to the end of our analysis and subsequent rebuttal of the iERA pamphlet, the Pocket Dawah Manual. The final section closing the pamphlet after 31 pages is labelled After Shahada and demonstrates the weakness of Islam and the total lack of convincing arguments, unfortunately. And no, I am not drunk. On this page of the pamphlet, it really does say Shahada. In others it doesn't and uses the correct spelling of Shahada. Maybe their God was too busy watching one of the various versions and variants of the Qur'an to worry about a small embarrassment in an iERA pamphlet. No, but seriously, during a charity event where iERA was trying to collect money,
new Muslims, so we can look after them so they don't apostate from the deen. In America, 70% of them apostate from the deen.
They needed to create material to try and prevent converts from leaving again. They acknowledge that in the US, 70% actually do. What they're doing here is addressing something I pointed out to them many years ago, where they were putting all their efforts into gaining a paying member and neglecting the follow-up. Anyone with 2 hours of sales experience will know this. Nobody cared whether the new Muslim left after a few hours or days after realizing they had been conned. So they say, imagine if a fisherman went out to sea every day. Would you agree that it would be a complete waste of time and effort if that fish disappeared? And the analogy in the iERA pamphlet still reflects this sentiment, where they compare delivering the process itself to fishing, ignorant of the fact that it makes their nonsensical points look a lot like bait. The subsequent preparation of the fish before it is eaten is compared to the steps required after someone has joined the club, or so it seems anyway. Now the first step, as suggested here on page 33, is to get a convert into the rituals and stop them from thinking. They are to be dragged off to a mosque and the indoctrination process begins. The mind-numbing rituals are drummed into them and the constant humming and Arabic recitation of some religious lines is defined as pleasurable, even if it is not. So a new Muslim must pray every couple of hours to be reminded constantly of his duties now as a practicing Muslim. The next thing is to get his private details so he can be contacted and constantly reminded of his duties. But there's a caveat here. A male Muslim does not get to meet a female Muslim and vice versa. This is not a social club with fun activities. A female Muslim has to learn about a whole list of additional restrictions. I'm sure something we will highlight in future publications. And then as a next step, you need to make dua. Is this Arabic word explained? No. Muslims, as well as converts, must learn as many Arabic expressions as is possible, since Islam is Arab-centric, even though all nationalities are accepted into the club. Now, dua is an act of supplication, a calling out, the prayer in Islam, showing how much a Muslim appreciates his or her creator, and this is also the reason they exist, to worship, as a justification, a purpose for their existence. No matter how badly they were created, no matter how deficient. The Qur'an claims that all human beings were created with the purpose of worshipping this creator God, but only 15% or so do so. A huge failure rate. Dua is the way of somehow showing their creator they still exist and still worship, a kind of I'm alive function. Unfortunately for Islam, less and less Muslims adhere to the strict rituals and see it more as a corset, too tight for the 21st century. The number 4 activity is probably the most important one. It is there to drown out anything that is critical of Islam, well, of which there is plenty today in the 21st century, the age of the internet. Islam has no convincing arguments as such, and needs both deception and projection to produce the desired effect of impressing someone with this backward ideology. The deception we've just seen, where claims and more claims are made, which turn out to be simply false. The projection is nonsensical, as has just been demonstrated, where oneness, all the other claims, turn out to be either false or useless or both. And finally, to keep new Muslims from thinking independently, they are guided, like in any other cult such as Scientology, to material which is uncritical, shallow, and consists of propaganda, not facts. Again, like in any pyramid scheme like Scientology, for example, the converts are now put to work to indoctrinate other non-Muslims by spreading what we've just seen, things simply not true or useless, or both. I have no clue why these people don't simply point out the few benefits Islam does have, like the social effects, the common comforting and supporting. Instead, Muslims are driven into delivering falsehoods and claims they are unable to substantiate. And this way, dreams are shattered pretty quickly, and the Dawah efforts are simply countered by easy arguments when people start reading up on the net and find out how flimsy this Dawah actually is. Now on page 35 we get some internet pages full of iERA propaganda, and then the thing most common for Islam, the repetitions start. We get the same Gora-based claims we've just seen are nonsense, childish and totally void of any evidence. And that then brings us to page 36 and the conclusion of our journey through this short iERA pocket Dawah manual. Personally, I can't imagine anyone being impressed by this, but I suppose there are people where critical and rational thinking capabilities are not right on top and readily available. There are people who are easily impressed and who simply don't question anything. There are those who believe mountains are like pegs and our planet is flat, and we will not be able to change that immediately. So what we want is just to have everybody think about stuff. And one such instance of this stuff is this manual. And if, after going through a couple of these rebuttals, if you feel like suggesting, correcting, commenting, or participating, please feel free to contact us. We welcome all interaction, and I think I can speak for everyone who contributed here when I say that we are open to be corrected, and we are neither bigots nor in any way, and I need to stress this once again, in any way attacking Muslims as people. Thanks for your time and interest.